Oh, I know what the other thing was that I was telling them this morning. You know, your TFS repo is going to go away, and IT is really fast at getting rid of those. I mean, they definitely will be gone by the time the semester starts. So if you have a GitHub repo or some other sort of private place to keep your stuff, if you were a big contributor to this project, this is one that you might want to keep as like a portfolio item in case you ever get asked. If you worked on a project that had a lot of different components, you know, you could show it and say this was a group thing, but we all work together, because I do think that it's that viable of a project. So make sure that you're getting everything copied to GitHub, or at least copied off to your machine, so that you're not losing it. For today, I would like to look at chapter 3 and 4. So we're looking at general software development, the life cycle stuff like the CIS120, you know, design, code, test, life cycle thing, and then understanding web applications. That'll leave us these last two for Monday. Now, these last two are really important, and it's interesting how, in general, everybody feels the most comfortable with chapter 5 because it's Windows Forms, and everybody usually feels almost the least comfortable with chapter 6 because it's database stuff. So these two chapters are really highlight what happens when we're working with the MTA. So I'm going to scroll down, find chapter 3 here. Okay, like yesterday, I'll start out with this first one. And here we have Nupur, and actually, look, they spell the name differently throughout the scenario. It's not just me not knowing how to pronounce it. They mess it up. Okay, so anyways, Nupur has been named project manager of a new reservation system for Blue Yonder Airlines. She will lead a team of developers tasked with all phases of the application lifecycle. Nupur and her team met with managers from each branch of the company and discussed the company's needs and the basic features that everyone requires. The application will be web-based and will allow Blue Yonder's customers to search flights, book reservations, and check in online. After the meeting, Nupur and her developers began outlining the program from their perspective. Although they haven't begun coding, the developers are beginning to sketch out the classes and objects of the project using UML. Their outline is not complete, but a plan for accomplishing the required tasks is coming together. Nupur wants to divide the job in such a way that team members can work on different parts of the program at the same time. Now, her meeting with the company's managers is part of which stage of the application lifecycle? Planning? Is everybody good with that? Planning. Very good. The use of UML in this scenario. Do we show clients UML?
Yeah, we do show them wireframes.
Yeah, we're going to use UML to make sure everything's going to fit together well. We don't usually use that as an end user communication tool because it's a little technical. We might have technical users, but in general we wouldn't. Is the team writes code, Nupur will ask each team to test their classes independently. What is this strategy called? What is it? Unit testing. Unit testing. Why is it unit testing, Alex?
Because they're only testing a small unit of
their individual unit. So what happens if we bring two of the team members together and ask them to test their interfaces? What kind of testing would that be? Integration. And then what would load testing be?
That's when you get everybody working together on the system, see that it can handle I/O.
Yep. Can it handle the load? And so did you guys have trouble last night? I know the morning class, there were a few people that got hit with Visual Studio updates last night, I guess, who don't have things set to not do that. And then Microsoft was running at like 12 kilobytes per second because I received screenshots. And so apparently that was a problem. So was that because of Cyber Week or whatever it is we have going on still? But we know, Amazon, none of those companies can do load testing for that kind of thing for Cyber Monday and
Is
such.
that when you kept getting Microsoft, we're sending a message to Microsoft?
Yeah, there was some sort of issues last night, and it sounds like there's still issues today on a couple of different sites. The IT, the online people have sent emails saying that Pearson is having issues, and then I think there was another message that another vendor is having issues. So I would say there's some things going on with the overload of the interwebs still today.
Monday night, I was trying to download like a new software package or whatever. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll just download that into Visual Studio.
Uh-huh.
It won't take too long. And like, I could not believe how slow the bar was going. I had to go watch a movie.
I couldn't.
Just to
And
quit
it
watching
was
it.
closed down. So
That's what happened.
Yeah, it looks to me like when you want to add something to Visual Studio, it reinstalls the whole thing. It takes like 3 hours.
Oh, with 2019 or with 2017? 17? I think it depends on what it is, but if it's a major component, it can. Because I know with like the Unity interface, in here, they end up basically uninstalling and reinstalling when they check that box.
I had to
So.
install ASP.NET at home,
Uh-huh.
and it was like, oh yeah, this is going to be like 3.5 gigs, but when I started it, it was only like 600 megabytes.
So it was just got you really scared?
Yeah, I think I just, like, it was like, if you want to install everything, it will be 3.5 gigs, but I only checked the ASP.NET, so.
Well, that's something that we should learn as software developers. When you're going to check a box like that, check that box on Saturday morning when you don't have anything important going on, not on Tuesday night, 30 minutes before the assignment is due.
I mean,
But a lot of times it doesn't let you check the box, it starts updating.
I didn't even know that I didn't know I needed to do this. I didn't have a server
Uh-huh.
on my home computer, and I guess I never realized and I never tested that, so I had to spend like 2 hours just waiting for it.
That must have been what hit a lot of people. That WCF component was not there.
Yeah, which my computer started screwing up afterwards.
Oh no, I think that you're not the only one that got hit by that, unfortunately.
sometimes you think, okay, the machine's got it. I'll go watch the entire Star Wars movie.
What is it, a quadrilogy now or something?
No, I'm talking about
Octo.
episode 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9.
Eight.
Yeah.
He's counting.
For 6 Star Wars. There's gonna be
There
Are we
are
counting the holiday special?
11, so what is that?
Yes, we're counting the holiday special.
That's-
No, I'm not counting the holiday special. I'm counting canon movies. There are 11.
I think Itchy and Scratchy are canon.
Just cannon. Just two
I
cannon.
actually researched it because I got it in the date, and they're not technically canon, but they're soft canon.
The new movies are not canon.
What, the new ones?
Yeah, they're not canon.
No, they are.
No.
Yeah, they are. They are. The old
This
fan
Disney
made
paid $1 billion.
stuff.
Okay, quit talking about Star Trek. Stop it.
This is like
You guys were right about planning. Hey, look at this. This is really important. Even more important than Star Trek. I swear.
Star Trek.
Here are your Microsoft phases of application lifecycle management. Planning, designing, developing, testing, and maintenance. So remember those. Those are the Microsoft authorized, not our CIS151s. Do you want to hear my Star Trek story from Christmas? Last Christmas, did I tell you I bought my son that Star Trek communicator? Did you see it? It was on ThinkGeek. It was awesome. It's Bluetooth, and it's totally the communicator. I mean, it flips up, it goes, it does everything, and connects to your computer Bluetooth. And so, like 2 days after Christmas, I looked over, and it's still just sitting there in its box. And I was like, Sean, my 30-something son, who's not a teenager anymore, but I was like, don't you like a new toy? And he was like, I can't open it. I have to keep it new in box. And I was like, what? I don't know what to get him this year. To find something. An empty box. That's what I should get. It would be a lot cheaper. The communicator was not cheap. Okay. Do what?
I don't even know if flexibility.
I don't think it does.
Never really was. To be honest.
No, I don't think so. But there's always that hope. Someday, this communicator is going to be the only one left in the world and worth $1 billion. Jonathan, will you read this one for us?
Ari has just completed an internship with Cantaso Pharmaceuticals, working with their developers on software used by the company's employees. His supervisor is very impressed and has offered Ari a job on the development team for Cantaso's next generation application. The company has decided to start from scratch, allowing the new team to develop the application while employees continue to use the old system. The company currently produces more than 1,000 products and plans to expand. The new application will track all the company's inventory as well as some basic shipping and receiving details. Employees should be able to search through the company's product catalog and view product details such as product description, product image, and stock quantity and cost. The type of application would be a good fit for these requirements.
Console?
Definitely.
I ain't grading it.
Let's say which one I use database.
I would say the Windows Server.
Windows Service Application.
Windows Service Application. Is that really right?
I really do a database.
Would it be a database application? What's a Windows service? What's that word service in there mean? Is that really like a Windows form? Let me. One of those things in Task Manager you can't see is what a Windows service is. So be careful with that one. It's not sneaky, but that word service makes a really big difference. So if it was a Windows Forms application, then that would be a viable choice.
It's not sneaky. I'm just really stupid.
No, it's just really easy to not think about those words that are hidden in there.
I was thinking of like that one that was like Windows Form but online.
Exactly.
I don't remember what that was called.
Mm-hmm. That'll be next,
Yeah.
so we'll review. Okay, what about number 2?
Of course, never mind.
Computers are old, limited RAM, hard drive space, but are all connected to the company's internet. How can Ari ensure the new version will work on all of these?
I'm going to write it in C and run it on Windows 98.
Totally write the program for C. Why not?
See if you can find a system running Windows 98.
So process of elimination, what do you think the correct answer is there? C.
What if A was write it in the C language so it'll always work on every computer?
It doesn't actually work. Every computer has, or every microchip structure has its own machine.
What about number 3?
Ari's supervisor has asked him to prepare a non-functioning demonstration of what the new application will look like so that department managers understand what is being developed and how they will interface with the application. This is called a mock-up.
Mock-up? Good, okay, who do you want to go next?
Cassie agreed to help her soccer coach Ken keep track of the team by creating a software program especially for the task. The roster application will make it much easier for the coach to keep track of his players' personal information and some simple statistics. Now that Cassie has completed some initial planning, she needs to decide how to organize all the data in the program. The application will need to keep track of many players, allowing the user to search through and pull up any individual's data. And of course, the coach will need to print a few reports, such as a complete roster sorted by jersey numbers, a phone list arranged alphabetically by players' last names, and the team's leaders and goals. Number 1, which of the following data structures would be a good choice for organizing players?
I'm not sure if that would be any better or worse than array.
Have to do it
I'm
one
gonna say,
time.
I'm gonna probably say a link to
list.
I'm gonna say a linked list as well, stack it down. Or-
Remember last time we said to keep it simple unless there's an obvious reason.
Well, you're right.
Hooray.
Why would you do an array?
Because
You can
you
sort
can
files, I mean, yeah, you can sort a linked list too.
Yeah, but a linked list is human, but
Is that the
After
simplest?
time,
What's the simplest?
I was thinking it would be, at first I thought it would be linked list because it's saying and you sort and then I realized, oh, wait a minute, you use an external thing for that anyway, so it can still use an array.
Mm-hmm. What about number 2?
Which of the following would help Cassie arrange the players in alphabetical order?
What do you think?
it sorts.
The one that sorts? That would probably be the good choice.
Although I don't recommend that specific sort.
Yes, but since it's your only sort choice.
It's yeah.
What about number 3?
Which data structure could Cassie use if she only wanted to retrieve players using a last in first out?
A. So yeah, if they want something specific like that, they'll give you some sort of requirements.
But why?
But why what?
Why would you want less than first out home for that?
Good question.
I have no idea.
From a data structure perspective, I have no idea why they want that.
Yeah, like keep their stacks are more for like peer stuff.
No, if you're doing triage in an emergency room, maybe first in, first out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, they just want you to know that that one was a stack. Okay, who do you want to go next?
Anja owns a small dance studio and is looking for ways to bring in new customers and improve communications with their existing customer. She's not particularly knowledgeable about web design, but several years ago, one of her dance students offered to create a website for the studio. That student has moved on to the university, so Anja has relied on a few different volunteers to maintain the site. As a result, the site is disorganized and lacks consistency. The volunteers all use different colors and fonts, so result in a very non-professional website. Knowing that she can't fix the site herself, she has asked her nephew Maxim to help, but Maxim creates a page. Before Maxim creates a page, he wants Anja to have at least a basic understanding of the technology involved. Which technology uses tags to indicate how information should be displayed in the web browser? Okay.
He says A. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Number 2.
Which of the following is a key advantage of using CSS?
See,
C. Everybody agree? Good.
Yeah. What is JavaScript?
see.
It's definitely sweet.
I was gonna say garbage, but that's too.
They don't ask you for opinions.
It's really it's kind of like you have someone that asks you to help write their site as a volunteer, and you see like 30 different colors, and you add your own color. You're a special kind of monster.
I know I was surprised that nobody had mentioned that earlier as we're going through it, especially in this next one. Who do you want to go next and read about how we're going to make it really fancy?
Maxim has spent quite a bit of time talking
He's going to have a hard time with this.
about a new website for her dance studio. He's beginning to get ideas on how to update and improve the site. Tanja's old site is pretty basic, and Maxim believes he can add a lot of exciting features that will appeal to younger web-savvy customers. One of his first priorities is to make the site a little more interactive, with buttons that respond to mouse rollovers and a slideshow to display images of the studio. He also wants to implement online shopping for dance apparel. That update will include a wish list feature for users to save items they're interested in purchasing at a later time. Did I read the question as well?
Do the first one first.
Maxim's mouse rollover effect can be accomplished with a client-side script. Which of the following is client-side technology?
JavaScript.
Oh, look at you guys. You're getting this one. What about number 2?
In a standard HTML site, page information is lost each time the user refreshes the page or moves to a different page. Which of the following allows page information to be retained?
I want to say A.
State management. And with these that are things that you have less experience with probably than the stuff that has to do with ASP.NET, since we didn't do much with it. Remember your process of elimination.
How much of this has to be web down?
It's a very small percentage. I think like 15 to 20%. So yeah, any question that pops up that's not knowledge from your real web dev class, you should be able to do process of elimination on to figure out what the right answer is. What about number 3, Alex?
Maximum wants to use cookies to keep track of your wish list. Let's put it with not server side.
No, it's heck there. It's either
What is it? A. And so someone this morning brought up, what's the difference between cache and cookies? And we were all kind of talking about it. And so there's lots of different ways you could look at it, but basically the cache is information that's copied to your machine to be quickly accessible just for that session. And cookies are things that are stored on your machine with the hopes that they'll stay there and the site will be able to access them in the future to gather information. So anything else that?
Doesn't cache like transfer between sessions? Like if you clear the cache, all your sites start loading slower because of the cache.
Right. So cache will be reused, but it's assumed to be temporary, whereas a cookie is assumed to be more permanent on your machine. So we should and get rid of them.
Only tracking cookies are so effective.
Yes. Okay, Alex, who do you want to read this next one?
With plans for Tanya's dance studio website beginning to take shape, it's time for Maxim to think about how we will put the site on the internet. Maxim doesn't have a lot of experience creating web applications. Most of his experience is with traditional Windows applications. He knows that a website is hosted on a server, but he's never worked with a server before. Plus, his aunt doesn't have a lot of money for this project. So to keep costs to a minimum until the site brings in some business. Why is an ISP probably a good choice for Maxim?
What's an ISP?
Internet service provider.
So are they always free?
No.
No. Do they give you a copy of Windows Server? No. Because the reason I bring that up is C seems like it might be kind of fantasy land too, but that really is the correct answer. So yes, that may not be the correct answer in Springfield, but that's supposed to be the correct answer. So you have too much time on your hands.
Reboot your router for me, like fifth time, please.
What was it? One time they asked me, they said, I need you to unplug your cable from both ends and swap it. Like the end that's in the router, I want you to plug it into the wall, and the wall end plug into the router. And I'm, sure, yeah, I'm going to do that. You bet.
I like in July, you call up HughesNet. Is it snowing there?
Yeah, we're having snow.
I'm not in Australia.
Well, I mean, they might be. Software service anymore is just from everywhere but here.
I love the questions they ask.
They're great. Number 2, Joe.
An employee or reputable ISP tells Maxim that they want to use Windows Server and that he needs to understand the basics of Internet Information Services. Which of the following is not a role of IS?
This is a hard one. What do you think? What would you guess?
I would do maybe B.
B?
We go with B.
B is right. So what they're saying is IIS, the Internet Information Services server, that is the web server from Microsoft land, delivers HTML, delivers JavaScript, but it is not responsible for handling ASP.NET processing. That's something that's taken care of by Visual Studio and C#. So it's really just where those things are being handled on the server side. Now, you could look a little bit at IIS, but there will probably only be 1 or 2 questions about it. And again, you want to just do the process of trying to eliminate the worst answers. What about number 3?
The ISP tells Maxim they support virtual directories. What are the virtual directories?
Do your process of elimination. Is A logical? No. B seems somewhat logical. What about C?
Well, the ISP provides services. And if you're searching for something, they need a service that can say where that is.
But is that your virtual directory? Would you be responsible for that? Think about it. Are you responsible for finding sites on the internet with a search engine? So what's the only logical answer out of those 3? B. Right. So it's definitely not something that's in your past experience, but your past experience should help you to come up with the right answer. And again, very, very minimal part of the test. Now, IIS is part of a Windows server that delivers content such as web pages by using HTTP over the World Wide Web. IIS provides functionality essential for deploying ASP.NET web applications, and it supports other server-side scripting like PHP. Virtual directories can be configured in IIS and allow access to folders and files outside of the site's home folder. So that should be enough information for all of the IIS things that they ask you about. Who do you want to go next?
Maxim has worked hard to publish an existing professional site for Tanja's Dance Studio. It's been available for more than a month now, and customers have given Tanja great feedback. They love all the interactive media and the simple consistency of the overall design. Best of all, the new site has increased Tanja's income by attracting new students and by allowing customers to purchase items from home. With the extra money, she wants to pay Maxim to put a little more into the site. No major changes, just some catchy additions. She'd like her homepage to display the current weather and traffic conditions, and she thinks a Bing search box would help users find information. He knows he can use web services to help.
This is the one I thought Alex was reading. I thought he was going to have a good time with it.
Specifically Bing. I mean, he can probably use Google to figure out how to do that. In this context, what is a web service?
I guess maybe.
Yeah, I want to say A.
That's the only one that makes sense of what they're talking about. Because I wouldn't say B is, I wouldn't say it's secure at all.
It's definitely not B.
What about number 2?
When using the Bing API to add search capabilities to a site, what is the web service role of Bing? Would it be
Process. It processes requests. Sure.
Well, in a client-server environment, we have a client and a server. In this kind of web service environment, we have a requester and a provider, right? So what would Bing be?
Well,
No.
The requester is provider is Bing.
Yeah.
It's kind of confusing because it sounds like it's talking about the API, but in the second part, I think.
Yeah, Bing is the one providing a service, and we're requesting a service from Bing. What about number 3?
Definitely not Java.
What's the following is a framework commonly used to access a web service?
It's the one that you guys used in your web service you created and showed today. What was it? Do you remember?
ASP.net.
Nope. Soap.
Oh,
ASP is
Make a list of those acronyms. Don't forget. SOAP.
Simple object.
Yeah, Simple Object Access Protocol. And SOAP services are available like Bing and all those other ones. Number one, there was a little bit of dissension about. The correct answer is a web service is C, a system that allows multiple programs to interact via the internet,
oh.
which is a really far stretch, but think about your web service. If your web service were running, it would allow multiple programs from across the internet to gain access to your pricing information.
I was reading that it's like that it allows several different things in your computer to interact.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
like across the internet.
Yeah, and think about it being across the internet. Okay, that's it for today. We'll look at these last two next time. And we are supposed to have class Monday, so we will look at these last two, but the majority of the time, again, will be for working on your applications. Today is your work on your Jeopardy application, a couple of things.